Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 18 of How Do You Write? Today we are talking to the absolutely delightful Julia Skott, who I know through the knitting world, and she's also a fantastic writer, and you are going to really enjoy the interview with her. Stay tuned for that. What's going on in my world? I turned in my book yesterday. And I'm going to brag for 1 minute. Just allow me if you don't mind. Um, so a writer is assigned a date. My date was October 3rd. That was the day my book was due. And somehow, 6 months after you're assigned that date, I managed to turn in an 80,000 word book on the day, using the entire day to finish up what I'm doing in the book. I had to really write the ending because I never know what the ending is until I get there. Um, but just the fact that we are able to do that, that the math works out, that I think I've only ever asked for an extension once or twice, and it was for a week or two at a time, and they were for big extenuating circumstances like, um, family sickness and stuff like that. But I'm proud of myself that I can aim for that date and hit it. Of course, I would like to hit it a couple weeks extra earlier, just so I could have some time to clean it up. But I never do that. No one ever does that. I think I did it once, and I am not that person anymore. Nowadays, I finish the book, I clean it up, I push it out of Scrivener into Word, and I scan it. I go through, I take out all the asterisks and questions I'd been asking myself, make sure it all flows. I hit send to my editor at Random House Australia, and then I go, holy crap! What did I just send her? That's the worst book that's ever been written. And of course, it had been fine just a few minutes before. So now the worst book in the world is winging its way to Australia. She's actually already got it, and she's probably already reading it because she's one of those editors that is done 4 days later. So the nice thing is that this is basically a first draft. I call my first draft the zero draft, and then I revise it and get it to the first draft that I sent to my editor. Luckily, she gets to do her job. Job security for her. She will email me back in a few weeks and tell me all the things that are broken with it. And the fun thing is that she trusts me enough to fix them, which I think is an excellent editor-writer relationship if you can get it. She says, this is broken, fix it. If I need help, I can go to her and ask for more, but it's really nice when somebody points out the broken bits, and then you as the artist can figure out how to fix it organically, the way that your brain wants to fix it, which guarantees that the reader stays with your voice, which is why they're with you anyway, right? So that is exciting. I'm glad that that is off my plate. Now I'm going to leap into another romance, completely self-published, starting on Monday. So next week I'll start writing that. And after that, I'm diving into the thriller. But I'm going to do it. This is a shorter romance that I'm doing, like a novella for the Ballard Brothers series. And in other news, I forgot to tell you guys, I think, that Lala got a job. So she started yesterday. She loves it. The people are awesome. And the really exciting thing about that is that purely selfishly, I get to keep this job. I was planning on it anyway, but we can kind of take a breath. We have benefits again, and insurance, and a 401k being built, and all of that. So boy, howdy, that feels good. It just all kind of worked out, and I kind of thought it would. Usually I am a panicker. You may have heard. I did not panic this time very much. I panicked a little bit. But I just knew it would be okay, and she's really liking this job, so that's super, super cool. And then this afternoon, I'm going to go meet a friend of mine at the Museum of Modern Art in San Francisco, and we're going to look at a little art and then sit in the cafe and do a little writing. So that is going to be phenomenal. I'm just really enjoying today, the day after the book is turned in. I think I might get a pedicure. And tonight we're going to see Patti Smith at City Arts and Lectures. So I got nothing to complain about. I hope that you have nothing to complain about, and that if you do, you complain in a beautiful lyrical way, or if your voice is angry and punchy, then you complain that way. Just get your words out, get them on the page. I know you can do it. Enjoy this interview with Julia. She's truly awesome. Well, welcome to How Do You Write? I am so pleased to be here with Julia Skott today. Hi, Julia.
Hi.
Yay, I'm so happy you're here. Julia is a fellow knitting feminist, so I'm very excited to talk to her. And a little bio, Julia Skott is a journalist and writer. She's published 2 nonfiction books in Swedish called Body Panic and Shut Up, I'm Counting. She also produces podcasts about knitting and romance literature and is working on a novel or 2. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you.
It's so nice to talk to you. All the
Likewise.
way over in Sweden.
Right. We have computers and internet here too.
Yes, you do, and they're actually probably better than ours over here. Our internet is
probably
infamous for being horrible.
Actually, it's funny. I have because I live in a little cottage where we moved about 2 years ago. I mean, a little cottage. It's a small house in a suburb of Stockholm. I don't unfortunately live out in the woods, but we got fiber about a year and a half ago. Before that, there wasn't like cable internet or anything because the little municipality where I live was too old. So I moved from the city out, and I was like, what do you mean there's no what do you mean there's no internet? How is that even a thing? But now we have fiber. So
how long were you without internet? Were you
well we had like not dial up, but like ADSL, which I know probably sounds okay for Americans because that's what you're used to.
That's what we're using. When I go to Europe, and the fiber is just crazy. Like right here, we have to do cable. We can't even get over the phone lines because our phone lines are too old. They can't upgrade them to where we are. So yeah. And listeners, Julia is Swedish, but she went to school in San Diego, so she has that lovely California accent.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint.
That's awesome. Well,
I can fake it if you want to.
Oh yes, please. Can you say something in a fake Swedish accent?
I can talk a little bit like this, and it might sound more Swedish.
Okay, that was really funny. No, but I like
super sexy.
I like your real accent.
Thank you.
Do that. Well, let's get into your writing process a little bit. Oh, I love what one of your friends said, that this is like writer's porn, this particular podcast, because it's diving deep into writers' processes.
And very intimate. Like you get to hear someone talking about. So I guess it's more like meta porn. It's like talking about sex. Like
exactly.
Like,
yes.
Because you never get to hear about that unless someone is like Hemingway, and then you get to hear about what his process was probably totally not like at all.
Yeah.
But like what he wanted people to think it was.
Yeah. Whenever I would go to like hear people's talks, that's the question I wanted asked. I still want that. I'm seeing Ann Patchett on Wednesday night, and I'll probably be the one to ask her about her process, because I just always want to know, and I want to know about yours. So what is the best time of day for you to write, and where do you write?
Well, I was talking to my partner. I was like, I feel like such a fraud because I write when I need to write and where there's room. But I mean, I have an office in the basement. That's where I do most of my writing. But I also I travel for work, and sometimes I write in hotels or on trains. Actually, I've almost never written in coffee shops. So it's been fun to hear that so many of your guests do that. But I think it's because I've been fortunate to have like a room where I have space to write. But also I hate people, so coffee shops are not great.
Do you find success in writing in hotel rooms? For some reason, when I get into a hotel room, I hit stupid, full stop, and I just like flick through channels.
No, it works pretty well. And the only thing is that usually like you have a tiny desk and a chair that doesn't quite fit underneath. But that's actually probably good because it means I have to get up. But so far it's works okay. You go, okay, because also I've had that weird luxury of writing books that they're already under contract.
Nice.
So I'm like, I have to actually deliver this book now. So, I mean, deadlines, I'm the opposite of Oscar Wilde. Like, I don't love the sound they make when they go whooshing by. Yeah. I love that they are staring me in the face with like fangs. And I go, okay.
For me, it's like the train. I'm seeing the train get closer and closer, and the light is getting brighter, and the whistle is getting louder. Yeah, I have a deadline in 2 weeks.
And you're like picking up all the words off of the train tracks.
Off the train tracks. I love that image. And how do you write? Are you a longhand gal, computer all the way?
pretty much computer all the way. Sometimes like I will map out like a story just on paper.
Hmm.
But usually I work with my computer. I tend to use Scrivener, which I've
Okay.
discovered when I did NaNoWriMo 3 years ago and fell in love with.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, no, that's a lie. I used it before that for my first book. Um, I'm not very smart. But sometimes I'll use Word. I mean, it depends on what I'm writing, but Scrivener just for structure, for like going like this is gonna go here later, and
Right.
then you can shuffle things around when you realize that like, this part does not go here, and this part I'm gonna keep for later, but it's not gonna go in the story.
I think I've never thought about it, but I think one of the things I like best about Scrivener is that storage feature, especially when it comes to the trash. Is that I
Yeah,
move so much stuff into the trash and I just don't worry about it. I know that I could go
yeah.
get it later if I wanted to. Whereas with Word, I would put it somewhere in a file and I would never, ever know where it was.
Yeah, and,
Cool.
and with my latest book, which is like a collection of essays, I could also go like this is an essay and it doesn't have a place yet, and
Ah,
I could both reorganize them and just go, okay, this is some sort of topic, and I'm gonna just put stuff in here, and then I could go, oh, well, now I see that there's a structure. So
yeah.
it's very handy like that.
I love that. Listeners, we were talking before we started recording, and I can't wait to read her collection of knitting essays when it comes out in English, which will have to happen because,
Yeah, and watchers, I'll show you the cover now, and
yes, it's the most amazing cover. The press
so
also does graphic novels. Is that what you said?
it's they primarily do graphic novels, comics, that sort of thing. So they had some really amazing illustrators um, in their Rolodex. So it's full of really nice illustrations as well. But it's called Shut Up, I'm Counting, Editor's Confessions. And it's actually doing really, really well. I joked that because there was a book that came out a couple of years ago, a Norwegian book called Firewood, that sold like 300,000 copies, which for Norway and Sweden, two pretty tiny countries,
Yeah.
is amazing. I mean, there's 9 million of us
Yeah.
Swedes.
Yeah.
So so I've been joking like, okay, I want it to be this year's Firewood, but then I also have to remember to explain to people that that's a book. I don't actually want it to like be remaindered and burned. That would be sad.
Can you tell us a little bit about the essays that are inside it?
Well, it's a collection, sort of about the highs and lows and the deeps and not too deeps of knitting. So it's like frustrations and yarn hoarding, but also feminism and labor rights and history and friendship and why everybody else needs to shut up and sit down. So
Oh,
so it's kind of it is my confessions about being both a much better and a much worse knitter than I think I am. And it is apparently full of like embarrassed and pleasurable sort of recognition humor is the feedback that I've been getting. It came out about a month ago and it's been selling really, really well,
that's
which
my
is fun.
favorite kind of thing to read, and I am not going to learn Swedish for it, so it must
I,
come
I
out in English.
I respect that. No, but and I mean that's amazing feedback for a writer, and it's so
Yeah.
different to my last book, which was much, much heavier, is when people go like, I had to make an effort not to laugh too much on the bus, or like I was laughing on the train, or I was reading it to my partner and he was very unappreciative and just like that. It's really cool when people go, I was laughing super hard, like this is one of the best things I've read this
Yeah.
year to cheer me up. So
Oh, congratulations on that. I'm so
thank
excited
you.
about that. What is the worst writing advice you've been given over these years?
I was thinking about it, and I don't think I've been given like a lot of bad advice. I don't think I've been
Good.
given a lot of advice either way. I think people just go, "She's beyond hope." I think I think the worst writing advice that people give themselves is wait, like wait for the right time or the
Yeah.
right story or the right idea. Like you have to wait for when you suddenly have that beach cottage and all this time and like it's not going to come. You shouldn't wait for the right time because it's not going to come.
I'm of the theory that we all have the most time we're ever going to have right now.
Yeah.
If you're waiting to have more free time, you will not ever 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 find that.
Yeah.
So just do it
And
now.
and if you do, you're not going to have the practice of writing. So
Yeah. Yeah. What secret writing tip of awesomeness did you discover the hard way?
better out than in. Just
Explain.
like butt in seat,
Yeah.
just get it on the page or on the screen, because you can't edit what's not there.
Yeah.
I know you love editing
I
and
do. I
revising,
love revision.
but you can't, and it's that whole thing like you only regret the thing you didn't do. And I think it's the same way. Like if you just sit down and just like puke it out,
Yeah.
then either it's going to be great right away, probably not, but like you can have something there and it can't, it's like Schrodinger's book. It can't be good or bad until it's actually there, you know? So that's just like out, just sit down, do it. I like the Pomodoro method, you know,
Mm-hmm.
set a timer for 20 minutes, put my headphones on, play, I like Soma FM as a free online radio and they
Oh,
have
I used to
weird
like that
like
too. Yeah.
so they have like just drone zone. It's just like no lyrics, just and I turn it down, but I
Yeah.
have noise canceling headphones and then I just write for 20 minutes. My fingers can't stop.
Oh,
And then I take a break. And in that time it can be crap, it can be okay, it can be a seed to something, but suddenly you have something and you didn't before.
yeah.
So better
Do,
out than in, I think.
do you ever write sentences to yourself while you're writing? Like, I end up, when I do that thing where you have to keep your fingers moving, I get a lot of sentences that say, "What the hell are you doing, Rachel?" Am I the only one?
No, no. Well, you're probably not the only one. Uh, I do sometimes, you go, blah, de, blah, de, blah. Here there will be a very clever sentence that explains the thing very well. But that's still something because then you have the structure.
Yes.
You know, like, okay, I don't have it in me to brain this right now, but I know what sort of needs to go here. And you didn't before. You know, the other thing is talk to other people about what you're writing. And I mean out loud, literally. Yeah. Email is great, chat is great, but talking about things is when you suddenly understand the thing that you didn't before. And when you hear like the things that you didn't know you've thought or that needed to go there, or you go, okay, now that I'm saying it out loud, maybe not so much. Most things I think I like the same. Read things out loud, print them out, so you see them in a different way. One thing that actually is that I didn't learn the hard way, but that I had a great writing teacher who was like, get like either act things out or get like Lego puppets or something, because then you will discover that this sex scene suddenly has too many arms, or this fight is like not like, no, that's not how, you know, just like just map out either the room or the fight or the sex scene, whatever it is. Don't assume that you know what's going on, because you will suddenly have an extra hand somewhere.
I am going to get some Barbie dolls and just do
You
that.
really, really should.
That is it, because Barbie dolls come with the right amount of
arms
and legs. Yeah.
It was actually one of my favorite stories about that sort of thing was a romance writer whose editor was like, so she's probably not going to stroke his chest when you've just pointed out that her hands are tied to the bed. So, no.
See her fingers bending and trying to reach.
But yeah, no, just like, because you can have the picture so clear in your mind of what's going on. And then when you ask your partner or your friend to be like, could you just help me out for a second here? And you go, okay, no, that's actually not possible.
I have acted out fight scenes in the dining room with my wife. Just like, could you sit here and I'm going to pretend to punch you here? Where does your body go? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah. So just like say things out loud, do things out loud, print them out to see them in a new way.
That's really, really, really good advice. I need to do more of that. And how do you refill the creative well when you're running dry?
This was another way I was like, I'm not a real writer. Either I go like, I am the worst and I will never do anything again, or I lie in bed and whine, or I just do it anyway. Like,
I think that means you are a real writer. I think
I know,
that's
right?
actually the proof.
But and I think for me, it's not so often the creative well, it's just like the give a fuck well.
Yeah.
You know, like I can still feel the stuff, but I'm just like, eh. And I think that's usually a cue to just do something else, like take a walk, watch a movie, read a book, read lots of books. But that's more, I think, to keep the well fresh just every day. Like just check the water, do the thing.
I like that.
I don't know about wells, but you do something to make sure they're not like gone.
They're going to poison you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect. On really bad days, what other profession do you wish you had?
Well, I'm a potter. I make pottery.
Oh.
I make this mug. I make tentacle mugs and yarn bowls and stuff. Wow. I'll show you. So,
I love that.
But that is fairly similar to writing in that it is a lot of work for not enough money or appreciation. So that would probably be a bad
You should probably
idea.
throw poetry in there, and then you've got all your bases covered.
Or just like a knitter for money.
Yes, yes, yeah.
I don't know, like sometimes I want to be like a lighthouse keeper, just somewhere like just out in the middle of nowhere, or just like sit in like on the moors, just be like, I have to flip this switch every 24 hours, and then I don't. So
That's my job. There's there's some drawbridges close to where I live, and there are drawbridge keepers, and they live in the
right,
little house at the top of the drawbridge, and on Saturdays they lift the bridge twice, and then put it down, and that's it. And I happen to know that both of the ones are who live there are flaming alcoholics because there is nothing else for them to do. But if a writer were there, that's the way it goes.
except that's a profession you would not let me have on that bad day that I was dreaming of. So I would knit and make pots and turn on the light in the lighthouse.
I love that. Okay, thank you. That's perfect. And can you give us a quick craft tip of any sort?
Damn it, I already blew it in the print things out. But I think that is it. Again, like just change the way you look at your words. Again, like print them out, change the font,
I've heard of
say
doing
them
that.
out
I haven't done
loud.
that.
The font thing doesn't work for me, but I know everybody's different. But like either, print it out or set it in a different size, or again, like read it out, because that's when also you go, okay, I can't say this and like keep a straight face or feel good about myself. So that probably says something. Or you'll find like, okay, I do need a period here, or I need to drop these 18,000 parentheses or whatever it is your ticks are. You'll suddenly see them.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. Just like find a different way to look at your words every now and then.
The
Even when you think you've gotten rid of all your ticks, you haven't.
You haven't. That's the terrible thing. For me, it's the repeated words. I'll use the word chair 17 times in 4 sentences and not notice it. Until I hear it read out loud, or until my editor says, "What the hell's your problem?" But
Yeah, and then you can also keep it the 8 times that you do need it in there to get the rhythm and the feeling that you want.
right.
Because that's also like to let yourself make sort of the mistakes supposedly of like, well, this isn't correct, or this isn't, but you go, okay, no, but I want it. But when you see it and you can remove those other 9 chairs, then you're good.
Exactly. And what would you like to plug
I'm
right
not
now?
picturing 17 actual chairs in the living room in your story. It's just
It's a very small room, and there's a lot of chairs.
uh,
What would you like to tell us about right now? You've already told us a little bit about your books. Where can we find you online?
online. I am Julia Skott, pretty much everywhere with a K. It's actually a Swedish military name, so it means a shot, like a shot fired.
Oh,
Came into the army, and there were too many Svensons and Nilsons, so they were given military names during their service, like shot. And there's actually, you can be shot or miss, which is hilarious, um, or like sword and lance and stuff. And then a lot of people kept those names when they came out of the army, because there were a lot of Svensons and Nilsons in their villages as well. So, and it's super punnable, which I like because I like puns. So, but yeah, no, I'm Julia Scott pretty much everywhere on the internet. And the things that I want to plug are not really, for most of your listeners, probably not that not that accessible.
well,
But
mention a couple, because I'm sure there will be a couple of Swedish listeners. And you have a romance podcast you were telling me about, right?
yep, I have a romance podcast called Romance Podden, the Romance Podcast, and Rätt Avigt is a knitting podcast, which is a pun because it either means knit pearl or a little bit off, or like a little bit or a little bit cranky. So there's that, and both books, and yeah, just trying to make stuff happen.
Awesome.
I'm actually going to see about trying to self-publish some romance novels, because I'm going back to freelancing in about a month or two. So I'm going to see about finishing my knit lit, because I do actually have
Yay!
yarn store lit coming up with some sex in it, and it's going to
Awesome.
be in English. So I'll let you know.
There are listeners who will want to know that, and I will get back to me when that's all up, or contact me, and we'll put it into the link so people can go find that too.
Absolutely.
So, thank you so much for being with me today, Julia. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it and how delightful you are.
Likewise.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.